Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's study session at 6 o'clock. And this is the City of Casa Grande study session for the 18th of January. Mr. Raines, you want to kick this off?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to cover a couple of topics this evening at our study session. We're going to start with a presentation by our local HOHP, Hands Up Services for Veterans and Military Families, and we've got Mr. Udo Cook, who is going to speak to the council and provide the mayor and council with a brief overview of some of the services and really the general direction of the organization. And then our next presentation will be our mid-year budget update by our finance department. Udo?
Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing us to present today. Like Mr. Raines said, we're HOHP, honoring, hiring, helping our heroes of Pinault. I'm just going to stick with HOHP. That first letter is a pretty big letter, but I'm here to kind of tell you that the organization I'm a founding member of, so is Kim, and unfortunately Kim would be doing the presentation, but she's at the emergency room with her stepfather, who's been in all weekend, in and out. So I'm going to try to do as good as she can. I probably won't be as long.
You won't cry either, will you?
Huh?
You won't cry either,
I
will you?
won't cry. But in all fairness to her, she takes it with a lot of passion.
She does.
Which is good. But the organization we founded back in 2011, we got our nonprofit in 2013, and we were challenged at that point to do a stand down, and we have just completed our 9th stand down at our facility out at McCartney Road, which we're renovating, and it looks like we're getting funding to finish the entire project, where we could probably open sometime this year, and we'll invite you guys all for a ribbon cutting. We're very proud of that. All of the work has been done by volunteers. This organization is founded by volunteers. No one gets paid, which makes it unique to be in existence this long and continue to provide the services that we can. I'm sure all of you are aware that our building that we've been in, we were funded by the county for the last 5 years, cut the funding for us this year, or last year. And the only thing that really is kind of irritating about that is that you normally find out if you're being funded by the second quarter, because you start the new fiscal year in the third quarter, and we didn't find out until the end of third quarter that we weren't even going to be funded. So luckily for us, the people that own the building let us stay there for free, and they covered the utilities. The new owners of the building that you probably read in the paper, they've got all these great ideas. They're letting us stay there too, because we're keeping an eye on the property. If there's a leak or something going on, we let them know, and they're pretty good about responding. We are looking for another facility, a location, preferably one that we will own. We don't have to do this again and move. The one thing about veterans is they don't like to have to keep getting uprooted and pulled from one place to another place. So one of the things that we're very proud of is when we opened the center downtown, it was, again, volunteers. We had a shell, and then we wrote a grant to Home Depot, and we got the materials. We had volunteers frame in our pantry, food pantry, and we framed in the front lobby, and it's our home. It's been our home. Kim gets very passionate about that because she hates to think about leaving it, but I think in God's hand, you just kind of follow the way He leads you, and you hope that it's in the right direction. But in our center, and I have some of our volunteers that are here and board members, we feel very humble that we've been able to do what we've been able to do with just fundraising, grants. And then it just seems like when we need some money, somebody walks in the door and writes us a check. Like when we were trying to do the ADA door for the front, we needed about $5,000. And we had a gentleman walk in, said, I understand you're looking for money for a door. And then he went into the conference room, made a phone call. I'm sure he was calling his boss. And he came out with a check for $5,000 and said, I don't want anybody to know who it was from. But he was a retired colonel from the military. And so it's those kind of things that bring this together. Now, quickly, I'll go through it. But our center downtown hosts a Cup of Joe coffee every Tuesday morning. It's open to all veterans and their spouses. We average anywhere from 17 to 50 that show up. It's gotten to be so popular that on the first Tuesday of every month, they do a potluck. And so they bring in all the breakfast, everything from biscuits and homemade biscuits and gravy. And it's great. We started a guitar for heroes, for vets. So we do guitar lessons for any of the veterans that want to learn guitar lessons, and that's going to be through the VA. And we have instructors here that are teaching already. Even though we're not totally vetted yet with the VA, we've already started that because everybody wants to do the guitar lessons. We found that with veterans, they're kind of unique. We had veterans going to AA meetings with the general population. And when you're a veteran and you're talking about your issues, the general population doesn't understand what you're going through. And so we pulled that and we brought them in-house. So we do AA for veterans every Thursday evening. We do a combat group session every Thursday morning where they can come in and talk about just about anything in the world. And I don't know, PTSD is a huge topic. What people don't tell you is that any one of you can get PTSD, being an accident. But it's an educational and awareness thing that we really are promoting. We have a counselor out of Tucson that actually will do courses for police officers and firefighters on PTSD awareness and recognition. So what we're trying to protect is any veteran getting killed because they're having an act. I was just at the center today, and one of our volunteers said, her significant other had a nightmare, and she literally said he was in bed going, push, 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 push. But, he's having an episode. And something triggered that episode. And so for us, it's very important that we recognize that, and then we can try to help those individuals get through that. We have volunteers that we pick up along the way because we've helped them in some way. Our emergency funding is typically around $5,000 or how much we can raise because we spend a lot of money on emergency housing. We have homeless folks or a family of 6 living in a Tahoe. And, that's just not where you want a veteran, a person that served his country to be. We have seen almost 20,000 people through our center downtown. We don't really want to leave the downtown area. We are looking at a facility that's in the downtown area. I don't want to mention the name because I don't want that individual to get bombarded with phone calls from veterans, but it's a perfect place for us. So we're working on trying to come up with some funding. We may come back to the city and say, can you help us a little bit too? But I think we're a great fit. I don't think we've ever come to the city and said, we need money, which is not a bad idea occasionally, but it's not something we want to do a lot. But I feel like we're a very important part of not only the city of Casa Grande, because you're bringing in more people and more businesses. And as you bring in more businesses and people, you're going to bring in more veterans. that we can help. And if nothing else, it's just having the opportunity for veterans to talk to veterans and meet with veterans. Like I say, our center on McCartney Road, we're renovating it. It will be a homeless transitioning, and in some cases, we may have some that are getting out of the county jail, which is they have a Humvee portion at the jail, which is just for veterans. Or we'll have vet court folks. And I'm proud to say that HOHP was part of the organization that started vet court with the county, and so it eliminates, for someone that did something stupid, maybe getting a DWI or a minor felony, instead of having that on their record for the rest of their life, they're allowed to go through Veterans Court. If they complete all the requirements through Veterans Court, it doesn't go away on your record, it just becomes inactive. And so I've had people at Abbott, when I was working there, we hired some of those folks, and they would come back to me and going, you know, it doesn't have it has a felony, but it doesn't do anything. And I said, that's because they've gone through vet court, they've graduated, they've become better individuals, and so they go ahead and hire them. And I don't know if this is a topic for you guys, but I know one of the things that we're working on is, or we were with the county, was trying to go out and recruit off the bases for the jobs in Pinault County, which is going to be a huge thing as you continue to bring in more and more businesses. You got to have employees, and so we have Eagle One, which has been kind of grounded because of COVID, but we're getting ready to roll it back out. It goes into every community in Pinault County and provides services, especially for those that are kind of homebound, that can't get to Tucson, can't get to Phoenix. So we were thinking we could use that platform for going onto the bases and almost like doing a recruiting session. And we had a few others. I think Richard Wilkie, your economic development director, wanted to participate with us on that. So that's something. We're just working out the funding details, but that's, I think, going to be very, very critical for everybody, especially us. So really don't have anything else unless you have some questions. Yes.
I think I mentioned to you that Arnold Schwarzenegger bought 20 of those little houses and put them in California, and I don't know if it was for homeless or if it was for veterans, but those were well received for people that...
Well, you kind of took my thunder, but that is something that we are looking at doing. If we find the right property where we can expand, we would like to put in the tiny homes. It'd be almost 400 square foot. It'd be a 1-bedroom, 1-bath kitchen, you know, not a full-blown kitchen, but it would have a stove and stuff. And I guess the question I would bring back to the council is, I know there's impact fees on everything. Would those require impact fees for each individual unit, or would that be a one-and-done type deal? Because we're talking of, if we land this property, it would give us the ability to put in 8 of the bigger 400 square foot homes, and then we want to put in 2 or 3 of the little hotel style rooms, because then we wouldn't have to spend emergency funding. We could house them for a day, a week, however long we wanted, because we would own it. So
I think that's a question for our planning department, but I'll leave that up to them, unless, Larry, you want to answer that question.
Mayor, members of the council, typically development impact fees are not something that can be waived due to the statutory requirements. There are other mechanisms for using other funds, if you will, to essentially pay for those, and would certainly take the opportunity to meet with the HOHP staff to discuss exactly. And as Mr. Cook has pointed out, we fortunately have a number of veterans that work for the city of Casa Grande, but one of those in our right down the hall from the city manager's office, and Richard Wilkie. He's a very active member. And I know he's been a strong advocate for finding what I consider to be a pathway for that resolve on these homes.
Okay, no, something to discuss. But Udo, I just want to say, HOHP's done a phenomenal job. I know I've been down there several times downtown, and you guys do a great job with our veterans, and we'll try and help in any way we can.
Okay.
Just a comment too. I just wanted to thank you, Udo. I've known Udo for many years, and he will not let it go. He's my neighbor, so he'll even come over and knock at the door and bring up some ideas. But Udo, really, I know it's funny, but you've done so much, and I want to thank some of the fellow veterans that are here with you, and I know they know that you work hard for this community, and Kim and everyone else. I went the other day because I was meeting with Kim, and that center has just become so like a home. It's so comfortable, and when you walk in, you can just see the family. How they're sitting across from each other. One of them, he even had his dog there. It's just so homey, and you guys have made it such a comfortable place for community members to come. So I really hope, whatever I can do to help support, I know you're going to find your home. Your next home, but I just wanted to thank everything you do for the community.
Yeah, we're not going away. I know there have been, I've had quite a few people say, well, why don't you just move your entire operations out to McCartney Ranch and do it there? It's not Casa Grande. It's not in the downtown area. I would love to see the downtown flourish and have the settings like in Scottsdale and Gilbert and those places where you have the patio seating and the restaurants and the entertainment. Because at 5 o'clock, the whole place pretty much shuts down. And we would still be a part of that if we get this facility. But the analogy we use for the McCartney is that, one, if we moved everything out there, homeless people would just be dropped off at the gate, and we know that. We get homeless veterans now brought in from Maricopa County or wherever, and we can't help everybody, and we really kind of get irritated at times because they're not Pinault County residents, and that's what we're trying to take care of. But it's kind of like the center downtown is our doctor's office, and McCartney is our hospital. And we need to make sure that we fix what we have problem-wise and then get them healthy and back into the community so they can be vital citizens. So I appreciate it. I hope I didn't take the 30 minutes. And I guess she didn't send the slide presentation, so I saved you guys about 28 minutes there. So if there's nothing else, thank you very much.
Thank you, Udo.
Thank you.
Before you leave, you said you address combat veterans in a group there. I think I shared with you while I was there that my son was a captain in Iraq for a year and 3 days and was a combat veteran and came back and really got messed up for a while. It was really, really scary. I thought I was going to lose my son, but he got to a place where the military combat people were that he was comfortable with, and he's doing great now. He's doing absolutely great, but I owe you for that.
Well, and just so people understand that a veteran will talk to a veteran, but they're not going to share their dark secrets with a regular civilian because they don't get it anyway. And so it's important to have these groups. During COVID, we had to close the center down, but we still functioned. We still took phone calls and Zoom meetings, and we still handed out food boxes. And I have to tell you, the Elks Lodge has been a great supporter. All we have to do is call them and say we're low on food, and they replenish. It's like they go shopping and they bring in shopping carts of food because we go through so much. I think that's one of the things that's so important for people to realize is that we take the burden off of the food bank in the different areas because we take care of our own. We help with utilities and stuff like that. But you're absolutely right. The combat, it can get really, really bad. And that's the things that we're trying to be proactive on. And even during COVID, we had a call line because we had some veterans that were contemplating suicide, and we wanted to keep them in touch and make sure that doesn't happen. So, again, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Udo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think next we have a presentation on our mid-year budget update. Alan?
Turn down his offer to arm wrestle. That's a good group of men, though. I went to that when
We're really good.
There's a conflict.
Okay, just let me know whenever.
All right.
Thank you.
Do you know the guy in the blue shirt? Skin up. Everybody. They have some really nice setups, like in Santa Fe and in New Orleans and different places where, see, they have like a bathroom and shower facility, all different things.
Or at least a feather.
No, you're
That's a.
Okay.
yours to.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening, our mid-year budget update will focus on data up to November 30th of 2021. And the reason is that we did not have the entire revenue numbers for December, so as not to skew the projections, we thought it best to give you up to the full month available data that we had, which was up to November. All right, our budget, FY22 budget considerations, these are the issues that were taken into account in the preparation of the FY22 budget. Of course, our budget philosophy always is to maintain current service levels of services if we are not certain about the revenue that we would be anticipating. Of course, we understand that we were dealing at the time with the pandemic. We looked at the prevailing economic factors and provided our revenue projections based on that. The major one, of course, as we all know, was the COVID-19 pandemic. We also took into consideration the fact that with an approved budget, we are able to move monies around internally among the departments and among the programs to accommodate any changes that were necessary. We looked at, of course, our budget focused on the strategic plan that the city has in place, and we are here this evening to review at mid-year the operations of the city. General fund revenue status. Revenues are trending higher than the same time period prior to COVID-19. I will touch on this further in a subsequent slide. The major economic assumptions that we looked at in FY22 were housing and sales taxes. Right now, the single-family permits, there's a slight decrease. We're thinking it's possibly due to the increase in cost of building materials and the availability of materials also. And however, the commercial construction permit is fairly steady up to the data that we had up to November. Sales taxes we're doing great. Hospitality, restaurant, bar, and hotel, that's up. Retail, food for home consumption, that's up. Marketplace sales, Wayfair ruling, that's up. We're looking at hospitality as of November 30th, 2021, we had collected $941,820. As of November 30th, 2020, we had collected $941,820. November 30th, 2021, which is for fiscal year 22, we collected $1,174,686. Under the retail section for fiscal 21, November 30th, we collected $4,873,524,000. As of fiscal 22, the collections were $5,377,776. That tells us that things are looking up in the sales tax category of the city's general fund revenues.
But before you get off that page, just so you don't have to go back to it, the single-family permits are down?
Slightly. They're
Well,
down slightly.
Compared to what? What?
Compared to that same time last fiscal year.
Okay, so you're talking from like July of 21?
Yes.
Yes.
Or 20
July of
to
July
now
of,
versus 21
yes,
till now?
fiscal 19.
Okay, okay.
I mean 20 and 21.
I have one question too on
Yes.
that page. On the marketplace sales, which is the internet sales tax, do you know what those numbers are?
Certainly.
It's just interesting, even though we want everyone to shop local, but you can't
getting
get,
some of our
you were
taxes
actually getting some of our taxes back, so I'd like to know.
Certainly. I have that available. Fiscal 2021, the numbers were $296,559. Fiscal 22, $396,769.
They thought it would make a difference.
Yeah.
Guess they were wrong. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
General fund revenues. Slide, okay. We're looking at the revenues, breakdown of the revenues as projected in the FY22 budget. Of course, we understand that sales taxes make up the larger portion of the city's revenue, followed by intergovernmental revenues, which I will elaborate on in a subsequent slide. We have some factors that would affect that later down in the year. Then we have, of course, property taxes, which make up 7%, and licenses and permits that make up 6% of our overall general fund revenues.
Real quick, let's just say, nearly half of our income comes from our sales tax
Sales
dollars,
tax,
correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Very important
And
point
it's,
to make.
and it's,
And less than
it's
10
holding
comes from our
steady.
property taxes.
And that's holding steady. All right. When in the first slide that I presented to Mayor and Council, I indicated that I would elaborate on the revenues compared to where we were with COVID-19 and even prior to that. I want us to look at FY19 revenues collected. As of November 30th in fiscal year 19, we had collected $17.1 million. As of November 30th, fiscal 20, we had collected, I would say, rounded $17 million. Fiscal 21, we had collected rounded $21 million. In fiscal 22, which is this fiscal year, our collections rounded at $23 million as of November 30th of fiscal 23, which I think is significant compared to the prior years, given where we are economically.
Mayor, I was concerned back on the property tax. The county sets the cost on that, right? Property
Value.
tax?
The property taxes, we set, we set
county
our
sets the
own
value.
rates. And and our levy, based on the assessed value of the property within the city.
Establish the rate.
And that is set during the budget preparation.
Is there any indication of it going up or down, or is it just out there right now?
Property, let me see if I have that information at all okay. If we look at fiscal 19, property tax at this point, at November 30th, well, we had collected $1.5 million. Excuse me. In fiscal 20, we had collected $1.7 million. In fiscal 21, 1.5, and let's see where we are. We are $2 million in fiscal 22. which is an extraordinary increase over that same time period in collections.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay. Here's where we are with intergovernmental revenues. When the budget, well, during the preparation of the budget, during March and late June 2021, we projected our revenues on a 58,632 population. As of October 2021, when the census numbers came out, that number dropped to 53,658 persons counted within the city. That impacted the level of revenue that would come to us from the state. When we projected revenues, or when we had the first set of data from the state, they projected 3.9 million, I would say rounded $4 million in VLT taxes. They projected $4.6 million, $4.7 million in HERF, $7.3 million in TPT, and $7.7 million in income taxes. However, once the numbers came in, those numbers or projections dropped significantly. For VLT tax, it dropped from $3.9 million to $3.7 million. HERF dropped from 4.6 to 4.4. TPT 7.2 or 7.3 to 6.4, and income tax 7.7 to $7 million. The impact on our general fund revenue is to the bottom there on the right. Our drop in the impact on general fund is $1.2 million. And the impact in HERF, of course, is a little less significant, $272,000 for a total of 1.5. And we will see later on as this conversation progresses how that impacts our projected revenues. I'll pause for your questions.
Have you looked at, because I know the legislature passed this flat tax. And the flat tax, without getting into all the details, lowers the total revenue from the state that they collect, but they increased the city's percent, right? So they increased what cities would get as a percent of that as a shared revenue.
The shared revenue.
Yeah.
We're looking, I think
It
that
probably hasn't taken effect yet. so
it
I'm
will
just-
take effect in 2024.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right, so, but that's something we need to look at, right?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. We
All
need
right.
to keep our
Thank
eyes on that. Major general fund revenues by source, and these are just the major
Okay, so now
revenues,
it's gonna
and we're
affect us.
providing mayor and council the approved budget numbers,
Increased
the
our
actual revenues collected to date, the projected revenues through the end of the fiscal year. Of course, you will notice in there that state sales tax, state income tax, we expect them to drop, these numbers to drop by 7%. So we expect to collect 93% based on what I presented to council earlier. Local sales taxes, we budgeted local sales taxes at $26.4 million. We're projecting through the end of the fiscal year in the general fund to collect $27.5 million in sales tax revenues. And of course, the property taxes remain as levied, including the SRP. Charges for services, we budgeted 2.5, we're projecting 2.7. In licenses and permits, we're projecting to collect roughly around what was budgeted, and franchise taxes slightly over what was projected to be collected. In fiscal 2022, we're projecting, as I indicated earlier, we're projecting a small shortfall in revenue, and that is based on November 30th numbers. We're projecting a small shortfall of $155,000, which is relatively insignificant. We're hoping that the actual information surpasses what we're projecting, so that would wipe out the projected shortfall by the end of the fiscal year. General fund expenditures. Of course, we all know personnel makes up the largest portion of our budget. And of course, that 74.3 includes the funding that was set aside for the PSPRS unfunded liabilities from bond proceeds. After personnel costs, we're looking at contractual services. And the 11.3% in transfers, these numbers go towards the areas of weakness in some of the other funds, and also to fund some of the bond debt service on bonds that come from the excise tax revenues.
Personnel costs, has that gone up or down, or the percentages?
I expect personnel costs to fall below the budget. And the reason is that we budgeted in fiscal 22 personnel costs, including the unfunded liabilities that the city would have had to pay for public safety for that fiscal year, not minding that we were also projecting to float bonds to cover up that liability. So I'm certain that we will end the fiscal year looking a lot brighter than we expected when the budget was originally presented.
Have we had any reactions to people because of the taxes and the personnel? I know that a number of places are having trouble getting employees. I was just curious, is the city comfortable that we're going to be able to draw in our employees? It's amazing how many leave certain industries, and just a question, we're at 74.31% personnel right now, and I don't know if we have any missing.
That 74.31 is percentage of the overall budget, not personnel as in staff or employees, but the budget numbers. Whether, I don't know how the pandemic is affecting the longevity of our staff. I would probably defer to HR on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, our budgeted expenditures by department, we anticipate the city closing the fiscal year with expenditures a lot lower than what was budgeted. Our overall budget was in the general fund was $150 million. We're projecting expenditure to date is $79.9 million, excuse me, and we're projecting total expenditures at $128 million. And of course, that includes the general, under general operations, the monies that were set aside for bond proceeds to make up for the unfunded liabilities on PSPRS.
Go ahead, Matt.
Thank you. I think it's important to hit that point about this 74% of the budget for personnel, that the PSPRS expenses in there for this year. So what that number is about, how much of that 74% is just the PSPRS? Because we're not technically spending all of that on current salaries, correct? We're spending it on salaries plus that bond, which
salaries
is
plus. Under the general fund, general operations, the budget was 91.3, which included about $68 million for the PSPRS for bond proceeds. We've expended 62 million, I believe, was paid out to PSPRS to satisfy their unfunded liabilities. We're projecting 86 million in expenditures under the general operations department of the city, and that includes transfers, which is technically not an expenditure. It's just moving monies out to other funds.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to be clear on that too, that's kind of a one-time
Yes.
Because we're buying
yes,
that
this-
off.
We should see
One-
save-
one
we should
time-
see
time.
savings
See savings
from
over
it
the-
for
yes.
over the next
We'll
20
see a lot of
years, right?
savings over it, yes.
We anticipate next year's budget to be a lot lower than what it
Yeah,
is
okay.
in FY '22.
That was the plan, anyway.
Okay, we look at other funds.
One more
As of-
question, and I'm probably not, maybe not where you are on this. I was just looking at the three-year revenue comparison, November 30th, is highlighted in three places there. And is it up, down, or how are we doing on that?
Are you looking at slide number 6?
Yeah.
Okay. We're doing fairly well. As I indicated before, the revenues collected to date in fiscal '22 far exceeds the revenues collected in each individual fiscal year presented in this slide for
You have to look
fiscal
at
year
this number here,
19,
that one
20,
there,
and
that one there.
21. So we're trending a lot higher in fiscal '22
This number
than we
compared to
were in the
that
prior
is a good
3
better
years.
number. Right, revenue up is good,
So the revenues are up,
yeah.
which is favorable.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Okay, so we look at the other funds. We projected 7.9, as I indicated before, $7.9 million in HERF revenues, which is based on what the state would allow us. We've collected $3.1 million. We're projecting the 7.4, which is what the state would allow us in fiscal 2022. Budgeted expenditures on the HERF were $11.2 million. We've expended 2.3. We're projecting a lot less than what we budgeted. We're projecting expenditures at the end of fiscal year '22 at $4.7 million in HERF. Under sanitation, we've projected revenues at 13.4, actual revenues at 2.6 million, and we're projecting at fiscal year end to collect $6.2 million, or to bill $6.2 million rather. We projected budgeted revenues at 10 million, actual 1.2. We're projecting to spend $2.5 million in sanitation. Wastewater, almost the same thing, 13.4 was budgeted, 4 million has been collected, and we're projecting 9.7 as of the end of the fiscal year, with expenditures of 5 million. So for each of these scenarios, each of these funds, you will note, Mayor and Council will note that we're projecting to collect more revenues than we're projecting to spend. On the golf, we budgeted 1.6 million. We've collected 508 to date, projecting to collect $1.2 million in revenues. And under the column titled FY21 fund cash balance unaudited, these numbers, with the exception of HERF, include cash balances, not fund balance, but cash balances available as of the end of fiscal '21. I'll pause for your questions.
So, yeah, Larry, this question for staff, I guess, is why are the projected expenditures so much lower than the budget? Is it because we're not spending the CIP,
Capital.
the capital improvement projects, or is that in this number here at all? Or maybe,
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, there are a number of elements that are not included related to, when I say not included, for example, we have debt service payments. There could be a variety of things that just from a timing perspective
Okay.
may be driving these expenditures down.
Okay.
I know that Angel has a slide that's going to talk specifically about the capital improvement program. You'll see through that slide that there's a number of projects that are underway, but there's a number of them that we've not had a major cash outflow as of yet,
okay.
at this
okay.
point.
I was just
As of November.
curious, because I know we budget for certain things, and I just want to make sure we're doing those certain things, right? That we put this whole plan together. Right. And not that it's a bad thing. I mean, it's always good to not spend as much as you had budgeted. That's a good thing. But I just want to make sure we're accomplishing the things that we we wanted to accomplish.
Right.
That's all.
And while we are not going to go into specific projects,
Okay.
every initiative, there is, as I said, there is a summary slide that's going to talk more
Okay.
specifically about CIP.
All right, then I'll hold my further comments.
Okay, this is the total of
pretty
capital improvement projects that the city budgeted in fiscal 2022, a total of $64 million. And these are the expenditures to date. And let me pause here to say that there are several factors that make for this level of expenditure against the capital improvement projects that Mayor and Council approved for fiscal '22. Of course, we know we have the pandemic. Mayor and Council will remember that the city came before Mayor and Council seeking approval to purchase vehicles. We are certain that we will not receive those vehicles in this fiscal year because of the shortage. As such, those monies that were budgeted in fiscal '22 may well be expended down in fiscal '23 or even beyond because of the nature of things as they stand right now due to the pandemic. So the pandemic is affecting us in several ways. Of course, as we looked at the second slide in my presentation, we showed where the housing permits went down because of the possibly a lack of readily available building materials. And the same is true for our capital improvement projects. So it is not at all based on the fact that our individuals in the various departments are not diligent enough to undertake these projects, but rather while there is the diligence, there is a lack of resources to make these things happen. I'll
And
pause
remind
for
me
your
what
questions.
the DIF stands for?
Development impact fees.
Okay, thank you.
So far, based on the foregoing, we've only expended $3.7 million in expenditures on our capital improvement projects.
And Larry, remind me, what is the time limitation on development impact fees?
There's typically a 10-year window from
10-year,
the time of collection to the time that we have to expend them.
Okay, and we're not bumping up against any of those?
There are, the good news for the city of Casa Grande is that 10 years ago, our growth was at a much lower rate, and so we easily are expending those revenues that we would have collected at that point in time. The task will be continue to sustain the most recent growth that we've had in expending those funds within the next 10 years.
All right, thank you.
And I suspect, Mr. Mayor and Council, that when you see our fiscal year '23 proposal for CIP, this year was very robust. It likely will mirror and probably exceed what we had requested in fiscal year because of the capital needs that we're experiencing because of the growth.
Okay, thank you, Larry.
Do we have on this budget the Francisco Grande expenses that we have at this point? Normally, we do every year have a expectation of what it's gonna be or what it is.
I apologize, I do not have information on Francisco Grande in this presentation.
What's that?
It's usually in the detail, when we do the detailed budget.
But we will provide
it's
that
in
during the
there.
budget
It's in there.
preparation
It's a
process.
generalization, though.
I knew you'd take care of that.
Thank you. And, Mayor, I apologize, I did not have diff under the abbreviation section there, I missed that one. But we provided, we
okay.
provided this not
I
only
should've known
for
what
your
DI
information,
DIF stands for.
not only for your information, but the information of the readers out there who would access this information through our various media. So we know the CIPs, capital improvement projects,
Got that
ISF
one.
internal service funds, and CFD community facilities district, and you will find a lot of these abbreviations in our calendar. We are here on our mid-year budget study session. The next session, we'll be meeting with city manager to review the FY23 fee proposals that would be brought before council during the budget preparation process. Pause for your questions.
think we're good.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, if I can just add a few things in closing, and want to thank Angel and Roberta for their time in putting this together. Really, this mid-year budget overview is just to really set the tone, because we find ourselves in what I would consider to be that budget calendar now, and staff has been working diligently to work on, as the mayor and council is aware, our capital improvement program for fiscal year '23, as well as our operational budget for '23. We've asked the mayor and council and staff to accelerate our timeline by a couple of months this year, so we're on track for that, and we will be working with the mayor and council to establish a budget retreat to go over the fiscal year '23 budget, likely in March or April. So we'll be working on the calendar there. But I hope that the mayor, really this is an opportunity to kind of set the tone. And I think it's clear from the data and the information that was reported by the finance department tonight that we are very financially sound. We've always taken a very practical approach to our budgeting, and you see through the numbers tonight that ultimately our revenues are really trending higher than what we had projected, and our expenditures are trending lower. That ultimately will result in a fund balance each year that can be used in the next fiscal year. But as far as the general fund is concerned, we've seen a lot of strength in the sales tax numbers this evening. Most of that is really driven by the strong construction and growth that's going on. Still, what we consider to be a lot of that revenue stream that's reported in sales tax that is coming from what many of us will consider a construction sales tax, which is a one-time revenue. But you saw as well that we've got higher revenues in retail sales and e-commerce, and practically when you look down the list of the various categories that we tax, we really see very strong trends in each of those. To your point about the capital improvement program, Mayor, we are actually working on a report that we'll be giving the mayor and council at the February 7th meeting that will talk about where we're at in the progress of our fiscal year '22 capital improvement program, as well as some of the highlights for fiscal year '23 and some of our ideas about how we're going to finance those various programs. And so ultimately, again, just want to thank the finance department and the mayor and council for your diligence in our budget process, and anticipate that we will be continuing down this path with more and more meetings leading up to the consideration of the tentative budget and final budget in June, July.
And Larry, just question then too, as we move forward and we start to talk about bonding, geobonds and or other projects, I know the other projects can be within the CIP. Where is that going to fall? Because I've not gone through this process of actually, passing a geobond and where that money resides and how do we budget it and what's it look like?
So essentially on that same meeting, in that same study session in January, when we're talking specifically about the capital improvements, staff is putting together a report that is a recommendation to the mayor and council on potential bond financing. We're still finalizing that now. We want to make sure that we're utilizing as much of the available cash that we have for pay-as-you-go. I know that's been the philosophy of the mayor and council in the past. We will continue with many of the items that are particularly related to growth and that and development impact fees can be utilized on. And so at that same meeting on January 7th, we will at least make our recommendation on various financing sources that will include general obligation bonds, will include other potential bonding, as well as pay-as-you-go. So that'll be at January 7th, February 7th. As far as the timing, Mayor, to answer this question specifically, it's our understanding that sometime mid-February we will be getting a notice from Pinault County asking us what types of ballot questions may be coming on our general election. And at that point, if the mayor and council is wanting to proceed with that, we will be bringing back an action item for those GeoBond questions that likely will transpire sometime in early March. Those will then go on the ballot in our general election in November.
Okay. So we don't have a lot of time on that.
We are we are under the time crunch at this point, yes.
All right, thank you, Larry. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments?
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Angel, and thanks for your staff and all your hard work, appreciate it, thank you. All right, we'll stand adjourned for, it's probably about 6 or 7, Mr. Powell. Nope, 5 minutes, you're right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's city council meeting. Sorry, it's 7:02. I missed it by 2 minutes. So our first order of business, obviously call the meeting to order. And again, welcome, everyone. And then we'll please stand for the invocation. Do we have anybody here from the Alliance or the? Oh, come on up. And then we'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. So please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Romeo Leal, lead pastor of Passion Church here in Casa Grande. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and congressmen and councilmen and women for the opportunity to be here. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus to thank you and to glorify you for this evening that you have given us. Lord, I ask that your blessings be upon this place. As each man and woman, Lord God, I pray that they seek your will, Lord, above everything else. Bless and fill them, Lord God, with your knowledge and understanding. Give them your wisdom, Lord God, for your word says, those who ask for wisdom, you will give it to them freely. And so we thank you, and I declare this evening blessed unto you. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Sure. It's a privilege to do that.
All right, the roll call tonight, we actually have one missing soldier. Mr. Lavender, not Mr. Lavender, you're here, sorry. Jeez. Bob Huddleston. And, well, you're on the same, opposite sides.
Good excuse.
Hey, I had 5 brothers and I could never name them all right anyway, so that's my excuse. I had to run through all 5 till I got to the right one. But I know he's not feeling well, so I want, is there,
Bob didn't know.
yeah, so
I move
can we
to
get an
ex-
excuse?
I move to excuse Councilman Huddleston from tonight's meeting.
Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, he is excused. All right, next is the minutes.
Mayor, the minutes, we move approval of the city council regular meeting minutes from January 3rd, 2022. Consider the acceptance of the Arts and Humanities Commission meeting minutes from December 7th, 2021. Consider the acceptance of the Casa Grande Youth Commission minutes from December 4th, 2021, and consider the acceptance of the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes from November 4th, 2021 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Next is D, claims against the city.
Mayor McFarland, I move to accept and pay the claims dated December 29th, 2021 through January 11th, 2022 as presented.
Second?
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the claims are approved. Next is the meeting agenda approval. Mr. Raines, is there any changes from staff?
We have no changes, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone on council have any changes? Okay, seeing no changes, then I'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Does this retirement happen tonight?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
We do have a special presentation tonight. I didn't even look to see if I saw Chris out there, but I guess he is out there.
I see him.
Chris, you want to come up front and meet me down by the podium, please?
He's a big guy, all
I know.
smiles.
We'll give it a shot.
Well, first of all, Chris Western, been with the police department for 25 years, and personally, I'm sad to see him leave. Just a little bit about Chris tonight. He's retiring after more than 25 years of service for the police department, Casa Grande Police Department. He started his service in the department August 1st of of 1996, and really served in a whole bunch of different areas. He's done everything from field training officer, driving instructor, firearms instructor, detective. He was in narcotics, SWAT, serving on the department's disciplinary review board. Chris has been Police Officer of the Year. He's received a total of 4 life-saving awards during his career, and perhaps most notable, in 1998, Chris received the Award of Valor. It's the highest award the city of Casa Grande has for its police department. So it's amazing career in really only 25 years. And serving as a police officer in a town that he grew up in really has been more than a job for Chris. It's a calling and it's a dedication to service. So on behalf of my fellow city council members and the city of Casa Grande, Chris, thank you for your service and congratulations.
Thank you.
The plaque just says Chris Western in recognition of 25 years dedication service to the city of Casa Grande, and really with our help, heart-held thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Congratulations. Don't be a stranger.
I won't be.
All right.
Started when I was 21.
I went to high school with them.
Sorry, Larry. All right. Again, Chris, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Have
And
fun.
you're gonna be in our reserve, right? Still? Excellent. Well, maybe we'll see you around still. You're not leaving town, are you?
That's a full-time job.
All right.
No, that leaving town, that Eloy deal wasn't the case. So.
Yeah? Okay, good. I hit the Eloy boundary today. I had a meeting over there, and my car started to sputter. Didn't like getting out of town.
Chris, your dad's always been such a person that watched and cared about what happened with the police department and all that. So I've got a kick out of him over a long period of time, and I know how proud he is of you as we are.
Absolutely. All right, consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. So is there anyone who has anything you want to pull off the consent agenda? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So move.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right. Next item is public comments. This is the time in the meeting tonight that we will allow any public comments. If there's anyone here wishing to address the city council, this is your opportunity. I will remind you to please state your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes to address the council. And we unfortunately cannot reply to you because it's not an agendized item, but we can direct staff to follow up with you at a later point. So if there's anyone here who would like to address the council, now is your opportunity, whether you filled out a card or not. So. Okay, seeing none, then I'll close the floor and we'll move to item I, award of contracts, I-1. Mr. McCrory.
Thank you, Mayor. Our staff recommends that the mayor and city council authorize and improve the IGA between the city of Casa Grande and the town of Gilbert. In recent years, the Casa Grande Police Department has been using the Phoenix Police Training Academy to train new recruits. Due to staffing shortages, added costs, the Phoenix Police Department announced they will no longer be able to open their academy for outside agencies. We're requesting that the mayor and council approve this IGA so Casa Grande Police Department can send our recruits to the academy that is operated by the Gilbert Police Department. This IGA calls for $4,800 per student, plus 3,000 rounds of frangible ammunition, which would be another $1,000. And I'll answer any questions on that if anybody has any.
How many police academies are there in the state? Tucson
Four,
probably
I
got
think.
one?
I'm not real sure, Mayor, but I think 4 that we can go to.
Okay, yeah, I hadn't heard that Gilbert had one, that's why I was just curious, so. Is it nice? Okay, cool. Anybody else have any questions? It was not
I'm
really
gonna
a
have a
question.
question, but you'll probably go on in the next one, but there is such a drastic difference in the cost, so I'm sure you'll go, because the next one is the city of Tucson.
Right.
So if you can explain that on the next one, why that one's so high.
I wish I could explain that,
Really?
Counselor, but I really don't know the difference
Okay.
or why that is that way.
So hopefully we'll send more to Gilbert,
It's because
right?
it's Tucson.
Yeah.
Trying.
And along those lines, Chief, is it, I thought maybe it was because it's closer and they drive home at night, or no? That's not,
No, Tucson has a rule that if you live outside a 50-mile radius, you have to spend the night. But we asked them if we sent people that are from the Tucson area, is it cheaper? And that's the next one coming up, but it's not. So it's the same price whether you spend the night or you commute.
Or drive home. Okay.
do whoever goes to Gilbert, they do not spend the night, though?
They do not spend the night.
Okay. All right, no other questions, then I'll call for resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5374, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, authorizing the intergovernmental agreement with the town of Gilbert for the purpose of a cooperative law enforcement training operations at the Gilbert Public Safety Training Facility, authorizing expenditure of public funds, authorizing the execution of an agreement by the city manager, authorizing the transfer of budget authority.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 5374 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion in 2 seconds. Can I get a roll call vote, please, Gloria?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, item I2. Back to you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and council, our staff recommends approval of this IGA between the city of Casa Grande and the city of Tucson. As I stated earlier, that we have been going to the Phoenix Police Department Training Academy, but that is no longer going to be available to us. This forced us to seek other accredited academies within the state. And we're requesting that mayor and council approve the IGA so that Casa Grande Police Department can send our recruits to the academy in Tucson. As pointed out by Councilmember Fitzgibbons, the cost for the Tucson Academy is $15,000 per recruit, plus the 3,000 rounds of ammunition, which would add another $1,000 to that. That is a stay-over academy. And with that, I'd answer any other questions.
Can we just go to Gilbert?
We're actually going to go to both.
Okay.
They're
And
set
if
up at
Phoenix
different
opens
times.
back up for any reason?
I'm sorry?
If Phoenix opens back up for any reason, meaning they open it back up to,
We would love to go up to Phoenix, but Chief Williams doesn't see that happening anytime in the near future where they're going to open it up to outside people.
okay.
What was that cost, Chief,
Yeah,
when we
I've
went to
seen that.
Phoenix?
Free.
Oh.
It was, Council Fitzgibbons, it was free, but we had to send, there was a cost. We had to send instructors up to assist with the academy, or we could send up a sergeant that would be the sergeant of the academy, and then we wouldn't have to send any instructors up, just that sergeant. And that went at no cost to us at that point.
I have a question.
Mr. Powell?
CAC used to do some of that training back in the day. Is that not happening at all there at this point in time?
It's not happening at all currently. Mr. Raines and a couple other city managers met with the president of the college and the chiefs in Pinault County. We all met after that this week to discuss the possibility of reopening that. It's still in the very, very early stages because there's going to be there's a very big startup cost to that that's, probably going to exceed $1 million or more that we anticipate, and nobody knows where the funding's going to come from. So it's still being discussed.
Okay.
So Chief, can we, because we don't know exactly how many people we're sending through this year, right? Or
Yes,
do you have
we
an
do.
How many?
We have 3 right now that are definitely going to go to the February 7th class in Tucson, because we don't set the schedule of when the academies are. We just got to fill them as we get a need. We have 6 seats available in the March 8th, I believe it is, March 21st Academy in Gilbert, that with the current testing, we know for sure we have 1. We're doing backgrounds on 3, and we're doing more interviews and stuff this Saturday to try to fill those 6 slots. And on the outside chance that anything else comes up unexpectedly for us, we have 3 more seats reserved in the May Tucson Academy class just in case, because otherwise we'll miss our opportunity and we won't be able to get anybody until next fall at any of the other academies.
So this is given budget authority for those, and then, so you talk about next fall, at that point, do you come back again and, we can kind of see if there's any other programs that are maybe a little less or something?
We're very frugal, and we shop around, and it just so happens that we have absolutely no bargaining power in any of this, right? So when Tucson says $15,000, if we want to have some people trained in Tucson, we'll pay $15,000. And Gilbert currently is, I think, what did I say, $4,800, I believe, or $5,800, one or the other. And obviously, that was the most desirable cost-wise, but we could only get 3 seats. And we need probably at least 9 seats sometime this year.
Okay, thank you.
Matt?
Chief, I want to thank you too, because we sat down, about 2 years ago, I think-ish, and you had your plan laid out for all the, we had a retirement this evening, we had one last month, and I just want to commend you for, and having the foresight to get all this stuff set up ahead of time, so I appreciate it.
We're
and
trying.
I'm glad that you're on top of it, because it's kind of a scary thing. We need to have enough police officers, so.
Right.
Thank you.
And Chief, just for clarification, the way that we were doing it in Phoenix, where you sent somebody else up there, are we going to be doing that at either locations for sure?
In Gilbert, I think we're gonna have to help a little bit. This is our first time up there, so we'll probably send 1 or 2 up sometime throughout the academy, but mainly that's just to see how our recruits are doing. I don't think we'll get a break on that. Tucson, we haven't actually sat down and talked to them about cost yet, cost savings on the, if we send instructors. And when we pull, our problem with sending instructors is when we send an instructor, that's usually going to be on either their overtime or we have to backfill here to pay somebody overtime. So at some point, even though the cost, $15,000 sounds unbelievable, right? If we start sending instructors down there, our overtime cost is going to be up quicker than $15,000, exceed $15,000. So we still got to get the exact cost savings to see if it's cost beneficial for us to send instructors down.
Can we just send Western? He's going to have a lot of time on his hands.
They may send them back.
All right, any other questions? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a resolution, please, Gloria. Thank you, Chief.
Resolution number 5375, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, authorizing the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Tucson for the purpose of cooperative law enforcement training operations at the Southern Arizona Law Enforcement Training Center, authorizing the expenditure of public funds, authorizing the execution of an agreement by the city manager, and authorizing the transfer of budget authority.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5375 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender,
Yes.
Councilmember McBride,
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell,
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next item is I3.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm here to talk to you about Resolution 5378. This is a awarding of a contract for purchase of a new 2022 Pierce Velocity pumper. Pumpers are our fire engines. They're the ones that carry the hose and they squirt the water. The cost of this fire engine is, I'll kind of cover it, but the cost I'm asking you to authorize this evening is $808,151.08. When I talk about a Pierce Velocity, Pierce is the brand like Ford or Chevy, and Velocity is the model. And we're going for a Pierce Velocity, which is actually a step down from the previous ones that we had been using. We made a kind of an evaluation, and we also made a commitment to the city manager that we would look at the apparatus we were purchasing and determine whether we really needed what we were getting. So we have stepped down slightly with this Velocity, but it's a very good fire engine. It's used in a lot of places. It's their most popular fire engine. So we will be requesting, we're going to make we've spoken with Angel from Finance and the city manager. We'll be making a prepayment of the order. By doing a prepayment of the order, we save $41,477.87. We are doing this purchase through the Sourcewell Cooperative Agreement. We are replacing Unit 434, which is a 2008 Pierce Quantum that we currently use as a reserve apparatus. So the reserve apparatus will go away. It actually has a blown motor, so we're not going to fix it. It was about $50,000 or $60,000 to fix it, so we made the decision not to fix it, to save that money. And then Unit 436 will move into the reserve fleet. It'll be one of our reserve apparatus. And when I say a reserve apparatus, we have the frontline ones that are in the station. When one of them breaks or needs maintenance or goes in the shop, we don't have the ability to not have the fire engine there, so we have to move a reserve into that spot. So we keep 2 reserve fire engines to take care of accommodations when something's broken or being maintained by Public Works. They estimated 12 to 18 months from the order date. And Mayor McFarland can probably tell you guys a little bit about it. It's a very complicated thing. It's not like going to a Chevy dealer or a Ford dealer. They build they start out with a frame and they custom make this all the way from the ground up. So it is a little bit of a process to do. We have realized some increases in cost. I think everybody knows that cost of steel is up significantly. So that's one of the reasons for the price increase. We are getting all the same stuff that we always get. It's going to have a Cummins X12 diesel. It's going to have 500 horsepower. It's going to have an Allison Series 4000 EVS transmission, 1,500 GPM water pump. It's still going to carry 750 gallons of water, all the same hose and ladder complements that all of our fire engines carry. We had budgeted $718,400 for this fire engine, and we were going off some of the previous years' purchases of fire engines. I bring that up because of the price increase, and that was attributed to the steel. So there is a shortfall of about $89,751, and we requested a city manager approved budget transfer from the technical reserve account to cover the remainder of that money from what was budgeted. in our CIP budget. Lastly, I'd like to thank Brett and Mark's staff. They worked very hard on this week, as well as Gloria's staff. We found out from Pierce just last week, at the end of the week, that on February 1st, they were initiating a price increase. And this fire engine would have went up $50,000 on February 1st. And these guys jumped through hoops to get, all this paperwork and stuff. We don't put it together in like 10 minutes. It went through a number of things and had to go through all the different shops and the city manager's office to get it approved. So I just want to thank them for all their hard work on it. They really helped a lot by getting this through. And we saved $50,000 that if we had to do it at the next council meeting, we would have been spending that extra money. So that's all I have, unless you guys have any questions about this resolution.
I got one comment, Chief, is I remember when you started as chief, when you became the chief, you did make a commitment to us that your fire trucks were going to be a little more economical, and you're living up to that, so I appreciate that.
We did. We took.
While it still has the quality that we're looking for, but
Same
you said-
quality, almost the same fire engine. This is just a little bit it's one model down, and it's a great fire engine. We've gone and looked at it at a number of places, and one of the other things we did, we removed CAFs, which was something that we had on all our fire engines we didn't really need. And probably the biggest thing, and we'll see how our members take this, but we took the hydraulic steps that pop
said
down
that,
when you
I
open the
remember.
door. I've always had an issue with that because it's just something I'm not accustomed to. After 40 years in the fire service, I'd never seen it before. And when we looked at the bills that we pay to keep those steps working, it was like, why would we ever do that again? So these do not have hydraulic steps. They have fixed steps, and you have to use your big boy arms and big girl's arms to grab the handle and pull yourself up into it. So that's one of the big differences in it.
I don't know, I think I'm going to miss the hydraulic steps, Chief.
I'd never seen one before, and I opened the door and I almost got my knee taken off of it, so.
And also the prepayment, I'm always proud of that we can do that as a city to save the money. I mean, there's been some talk about, could you spend it better, but this is budgeted for a fire truck, and, I mean, it's a guaranteed savings, and plus, with the 50,000, now we're saving almost 91,000 if you want to look at it that way, so.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody
Thanks,
else? Any comments? All right, thanks, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, just
Yeah.
real quick, if the motion is to approve this resolution, I would ask that we make an amendment to sections 1 and 3, just to allow, so after where the words Pierce Manufacturing Incorporated are, to add the words "or their authorized dealer," because we are going to be purchasing this through an authorized dealer, so we just want to make that clear. So that's in sections 1 and 3, after the words Price Manufacturing, Inc., it'll be comma, "or their authorized dealer," comma.
Okay.
And Gloria does have the updated resolution, should that pass, as stated.
All right.
Do we need to do an emergency or anything because of the timing, or?
It's a resolution, so it
Yeah,
only
it's a
requires
resolution.
one.
It just needs one
Because it's on the
reading.
CIP.
Okay.
So,
All right, Gloria, I'll entertain a resolution with so noted changes.
Resolution number 5378, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting a proposal from Pierce Manufacturing, Inc. for the purchase of a 2022 Pierce Velocity Pumper, authorizing the expenditure of public funds, authorizing the execution of a contract with or purchase order to Pierce Manufacturing, Inc. in accordance with the terms and conditions submitted to the Source Well National Joint Powers Alliance, and authorizing the transfer of budget authority.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5378 with the amendment of adding or authorized dealer after Pierce Manufacturing in section 1 and 3.
Second.
Does that cover it?
Yes.
yes, that covers it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Gloria, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item K, which is our ordinance, resolutions, and other matters. or subjects requiring action by the council. So K1 is consider final adoption of ordinance 1178.241.1. Gloria?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this appears for a second reading, and it was not under the consent agenda because it did not get a unanimous vote. Ordinance number 1178.241.1, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance 1178 in its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from planned area development to multifamily residential on property generally located east of Peart Road and north of Rodeo Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
And I do want to make a note that there was some comments made in the last city council meeting and concerns, I think, aired in terms of all the R2 zoning things that we've been approving. And so staff is making an effort to put together some information similar to some of Lisa's comments and my comments in terms of getting us some additional information on what does that really look like? What are really the lot sizes looking like in terms of these new approvals? So hopefully we'll get council some feedback and some additional information that should help with the concerns, because I hold them myself as well. So we want to make sure we give everybody information that you can make a good decision with. So just before, but if anybody would like to make a motion.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 1178.241.1 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
No.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
No, but I would like to ask a question if I could. I was under the impression that on the R2s, it was single-family only, but this is multifamily residential. What's the difference going on with that?
It's not, it's single family.
This one is.
This
yeah.
one is. R2 can have multifamily, but the
This one is
restriction,
only single
the
family.
restriction that was put on by staff was that there would be no multifamily in this development. Correct? Go
Mr.
ahead.
Mayor,
I didn't mean to put words in your mouth. Go ahead.
No, you're 100% right. The name of the zone district is R2, in parentheses, multifamily residential. That just happens to be the general name for that zone district, but per your point, because of the conditions of record put on the zoning, it restricts development.
Single family,
Correct.
yeah. So it's just single family, Mr. Powell.
Okay, basically it says the planned area development, PAD, to multifamily residential R2 on property located, blah, blah, blah. And as I say, my question is, I had assumed that you either did single-family R2 or you didn't do R2. But do you have multifamily R2?
Mr. Mayor, Councilmember Powell, the name of the zone district, R2 multifamily residential, in general would allow multifamily development. However, subject to the recommended conditions of record, it would prohibit multifamily development. It would only allow other uses permitted in the R2, which includes single-family residential, which is the driver for this request.
Okay, well, mine is a no vote.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, item K2 is Resolution 5376.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Tonight, staff is recommending that the City Council adopt a resolution of support for LCY's application for designation as a Port Trade Zone subzone for its manufacturing operation they are proposing to build, and to authorize and approve staff to enter into any necessary agreements. LCY is an international chemical company that has purchased approximately 34.2 acres in the Central Arizona Commerce Park that is zoned for heavy industrial uses to build an 80,000 square foot facility to produce their products that support the semiconductor industry. The manufacturing facility is projected to create up to 57 full-time jobs with an average wage of $75,000 and represent a capital investment of over $100 million. LCY is applying to be part of an active foreign trade zone and subzone under Foreign Trade Zone 75, which is administered out of the City of Phoenix. They are pursuing the designation to receive the property tax reclassification incentive and tariff reductions that a FTZ provides. As part of this application, LCY is required to obtain letters of support from all taxing entities that receive revenue from property taxes generated from this new facility, which includes the City of Casa Grande. This request by LCY is being brought before you tonight to help them position themselves to be ready to submit their application once their project completes the city and county permitting process, which includes receiving approval for a conditional use permit and meeting all safety requirements that will ensure the facility is constructed and operated in a safe manner, minimizing the risk to their employees and surrounding properties. The estimated economic impact for this project over 10 years is approximately $4 million for this revenue to the city. Potential fiscal impact to the city, the estimated property tax reduction over 10 years would be total about $10 million, with the city's portion being approximately $700,000 over a 10-year period. And with that, I stand ready to answer any question you may have.
So the impact on property tax to the cities is pretty minor.
It's a lot lower than what the revenues we would be receiving from this project.
Okay. Thank you, Richard.
Welcome.
Anybody have any questions on this? Okay, seeing none, I will ask for a resolution, please, Square.
Resolution number 5376, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, supporting a foreign trade zone designation for the proposed LCY Electronic Materials, Inc. manufacturing facility, authorizing the city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Phoenix related to the foreign trade zone, and authorizing the city manager to take other actions and execute such other documents as needed to implement the foreign trade zone designation.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 5376 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next item is item K3, another foreign trade zone.
Council adopt a resolution of support for Changchung application for designation as a foreign trade zone subzone for its manufacturing operation they are proposing to build, and authorize and approve staff to enter into any necessary agreements with the City of Phoenix. Changchung is part of an international chemical company that has purchased approximately 80 acres in the Pinault County Tech Park, which is zoned for heavy industrial uses, to build an approximately 540,000 square foot facility to produce their products that support the semiconductor industry. The manufacturing facility is projected to create approximately 209 full-time jobs with an average wage of $55,000 and represents a capital investment of over $400 million. Changchung is applying to be part of an active foreign trade zone and subzone under Foreign Trade Zone 75. They are pursuing the designation to receive the property tax reclassification incentive and tariff reduction that FTZ provides. As part of the application process, Changchung is required to obtain letters of support from all taxing entities that receive revenue from the property taxes generated from this new facility, which includes the City of Casa Grande. This request by Changchung is being brought before you tonight to help them position themselves to be ready to submit their application once their project completes the city and county permitting processes, which includes receiving approval for a conditional use permit and meeting all safety requirements that will ensure the facility is constructed and operated in a safe manner, minimizing the risk to its employees and the surrounding properties. The economic impact over 10 years estimated for this project is $15 million, and that's to the city. The potential fiscal impact for the property tax reduction over a 10-year period totals of $33 million. The city's portion of that is estimated at about $2.3 million. Again, significantly lower than what the benefits would be to the city. I stand ready to answer any questions you might have.
Anyone have any questions? Mr. Wilkie? Okay, seeing no questions, then I'll call for resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5377, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, supporting a foreign trade zone designation for the proposed Chang Chong, Arizona LLC manufacturing facility, authorizing the city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Phoenix related to the foreign trade zone, and authorizing the city manager to take other actions and execute such other documents.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5377 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember Lavender.
Yes.
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, that concludes most of this evening's business. The next item on the agenda is the much-anticipated reports from the City Council. And I'll start with you, Lisa.
Who's anticipating?
Much anticipated. Well, I don't have a lot. I just wanted to let everyone know that we, last meeting, we talked about the point-in-time homeless count, and that has been postponed to February 24th instead of next week due to COVID. So they are going to, Mary Allen here with the city, as well as Cara is offering a training. So we actually have had quite a few people that have expressed an interest to help on this count, which is great. It shows the community really wants to get involved. So we have two trainings that are going to be coming up. One is on February 17th at 8:30 a.m. at the Public Safety Facility, and the other, there's going to be two virtual options on the 15th and 17th of February at 2 o'clock. So if anyone would like to participate in the homeless count, you have to go through this training, which they kind of go through the whole the questionnaire and everything. So when you're going out doing the count, they are looking for $10 gift cards. So if anyone would like to make any donations, they would like to, that would help them to give out when they're doing the count, to give to the homeless, and restaurants are really handy. So that's really it. The Faith Alliance, as we all know, there's a major shortage of blood. The Faith Alliance on March, God, I can't even read, March 19th is going to be holding a blood drive at St. Anthony's. We think St. Anthony's, but so please, anyone, there's a major shortage all over the country. So if you can donate blood, I'll remind you every meeting until then.
I guess it is bad.
Yeah. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, Lisa. Mr. Powell?
Well, the, one of the things that I was interested in is the chip manufacturing that has been out and we've been thinking about. I found out that we have chip manufacturing right here in Casa Grande at Frito-Lay.
That's true. Was that your revelation?
That's me.
That was the much anticipated report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Powell. Matt?
I do have a few things.
Go for it.
I just wanted to say I had a great chamber dinner the other night, and I got to be there with the Youth Commission as they were awarded the Community Service of Organization of the Year. And thanks to Banner Health and APS, they sponsored the tables for the Youth Commission and had a couple extra seats so some of the parents could attend as well. So we had a great attendance there. It was great. The whole dinner went very smoothly, and they also honored my good old friend Fernando, and that was pretty heartwarming, to say the least. So it was a great event. This weekend, we have the street fair, I was told to announce, Saturday, Sunday. They have over 100 vendors, over 150 cars, and then food, fun, festival. So come on out, and it will be Chamber of Commerce weather, according to the Chamber of Commerce. So it'll be a great day to be there. Be perfect. I had the distinct opportunity to speak with Cub Scout Pack 919 the other night about the Youth Commission and city government. And I did find out that these young boys and girls did understand taxes a bit, that's how stuff got funded in town. So I was pretty impressed by that. And I asked them what they wanted. And I told them I had to bring it back to you guys. So I made a short list. They want more fields, more basketball courts. And I told them about our remodeled park here, and a lot of them didn't know. So that was good. They want another Chick-fil-A. They want another Whataburger, and I said, we're getting one. So
Coming soon.
they were pretty impressed by that. They want indoor pool, outdoor pool. So I said, maybe at the community center soon, I'm hoping, and more indoor hot tubs. So just a brief list of what we discussed at the Cub Scout meeting. And they are having their fundraiser. It's the Enchilada Fundraiser, and that is on January 29th. So next week, $10 per plate before 125, $12 per plate day of. Enchilada, rice, beans, and sopapilla at the Presbyterian Church, and they have drive-through options as well, 4 to 8 p.m. And so that's their fundraiser, and they have asked to come to a meeting in February. I was talking to Stephen about that, so we're trying to figure that out to see if they can present the colors. So it's really neat to see our organization in town, and they'll tell us more about that when they come.
Matt, who's that that's doing that?
The Cub Scouts,
Scouts.
Pack
Okay,
919. They meet at the Presbyterian Church. So it was a lot of fun, and the kids were full of questions and suggestions. So it was great. But I said indoor hot tubs. I thought that was a good idea. We'll see, Larry, if that's in the budget. Huh? More serious. Also, there's a great opportunity to honor the Casa Grande Union High School championship team. The Pinault 40 has agreed to put up $10,000 to match up to $10,000 to pay for the rings for the kids and the team members. So it's a really great opportunity to make our money count, and any money that's over that will go to the Cougar Football Inc., and you can give those donations to Cougar Football Inc. at Fitzgibbon's Law Office, is my understanding. So, and the rings are about $250 each, so they're looking to buy about 50, a little over 50 of them.
That's a neat idea.
It's a really neat idea. Pinault 40 stepped up and said, we'll give $10,000, we'll match up to $10,000. They'll give $10,000, but we're trying to get a match for the community so that
So if they can collect 20.
more people can collect 20, and then,
Then you got 10 extra.
yeah, for the football team, because they deserve to be recognized for that. So just want to make sure that all the kids are recognized and honored. So if anyone wants to do that, contact me, Ben, Pinault 40, anybody, and then also at Fitzgibbon's office is the headquarters for Pinault, or for Cougar Football Inc., that's what it's called. So you can drop off your money there.
Yep.
And then this Friday, we have the services for Chewy Laura and Celebration of Life, so,
Friday, right?
yep, Friday. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Donna?
You know, I was going to mention Officer Lara, but I more than, everybody is, talking about, honoring him, I have just been amazed at the community and what they have done on behalf of him and his family, and it's just heartwarming to know that even though some of them didn't know him, and driving by the sign at McDonald's where they lit up his name in honor of him, it was just the coolest thing. So thank you to the community, and I know it's been a hard time for our police department. Another thing I just want to mention, St. Vincent de Paul is completely run by volunteers, and I'm talking with their president of their board, and they're always looking for volunteers down at their shop to help. They've done a lot of good things, and so if anybody's looking to volunteer for a couple hours, they need some people down at their store, and that's it.
Thanks, Donna. Mr. Lavender?
Well, I'd hoped to report on the Unity March today, but we needed to postpone it because of the surge, so hopefully in an upcoming meeting. And Chief, we're very sorry for your department's loss, and your department will be in our thoughts and prayers on Friday.
Thank you. All right, just a few things from me. We have this week, the Pinault Partnership Breakfast is this Friday at 7:30, and we'll have it's going to be at CAC's campus in their student union, and we'll have all the mayors, most of the major communities in Pinal County will be there in a roundtable format, so it should be rather interesting to hear from everybody from Mayor Tara in Florence to Eloy, Coolidge, Maricopa, and of course me, the mayor of Casa Grande. And so looking forward to that. And not to reiterate, but again, let's get out to the street fair this weekend. Should be a great weekend. And then hopefully we'll have a little more information on the Pinault Regional Transportation Authority. We have a board meeting this Thursday where we will approve all of the intergovernment agreements that we have with our 17 members of that group, and so we'll be ready to go as soon as the state Supreme Court says it's okay to go. And we have about $77 million sitting in an escrow account, so really would like to start using that money. One of the first projects will be Thornton Road. It will be one of the first funded projects if we can get past that hurdle.
Needs to be.
Yeah, it needs to happen. And I'm going to get to go actually ride out on the track at Tessa tomorrow. So if you don't see me in 2 weeks, then you'll know what happened to me. So I'm looking forward to that. So that could be really good. This past week or the week before, I did attend, and I'm a member of the Arizona Broadband Mayor's Roundtable, and so we had some good information that they gave out to us. We're going to go after some grant money. They're also going to go after the federal grant money as a group. So hopefully we'll see some of that come through for our community and make sure we can try and narrow that divide in our community with those who need help with access to the internet. As you all are very keenly aware how important that is, especially when our kids get shut down and they have to go to school from home. It really makes it very, very difficult. So one of the things that Larry talked about was this culture assessment, and I just wanted to share some of the things that the city is doing. There's a statement, it's called the why statement, and our why statement, or the staff is put together, building a better community. And I think that really is kind of what we're here for, right? I mean, that's why we volunteer to be council members on the city council. And then the point of view statements: we are adaptable and resilient. We acknowledge our history. We provide a unified approach to deliver exceptional service. We enhance our future through planning, stewardship, and collaboration. Amazing statements in my mind. And Larry, I think congratulations to your group. Those are great statements for us to live by and to follow and to include potentially in our strategic plan. I'd like to maybe see if we can't do that. I think those are valuable statements. And then the values being caring, courage, honesty, and accountability. So kudos to you guys. Thank you for all you do, and really appreciate everything that staff does. We don't say it enough. But it is really appreciated, and that's why we're really lucky, and I think why we are so successful as a community is because we have great staff and great leadership too, and I include my council members in on all that, because I think it takes vision, it takes work, right? It takes a lot of hard work, and so I think we're headed in a good direction. I don't want to get off on a political speech here, but I think we're really headed in a good spot. We're in a good spot. And just a reminder, we do have, they just came out today from the feds. I think if you've been paying attention to the news, there are free test kits, the rapid test kits. You can go to www.special.USPS, United States Postal Service, USPS.com/test kits. Or go to www.covidtests.gov, and they will send you free 2 test kits, which is it's 4 test kits. It's 2 boxes, and there's 2 test kits in each box. But they'll deliver it to you free. And every address can get 4 test kits for free. So go there, and if you can't go there, then go to Dorothy Powell, weekly, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. No appointments are needed. Go there, get tested, and just walk in. And Sun Life is also doing testing. Their times are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So those are all free testing. So if you need to get tested, there should be no reason why you can't get it done. Now, I think Sun Life's is not a rapid test. It's a PCR test, so it takes a little longer, but it's probably a little more accurate. But it'll take a little longer to get it back.
I always had one more thing, really.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Powell, what would you like to say?
Well, I'm concerned about, I know Yuma, Tucson, Gila Bend, a lot of areas have got a lot of immigration people that have come into their communities. We've got a bus on McCartney that unloads people just about dark. And sometimes it's almost up to 100 people you look at, and I don't know. It's not every weekend, but it is every other, and it's usually, as I say, when it's getting dark. So I just thought somebody needs to look into that and just see what is going on, and if it's legitimate or if it's, most of them are, there's mostly men, and most of them will get off and walk across the street. First time I went by, I looked over there, and there's about 100 and something people in the driveway deal, and I thought, wow, what's going on? But I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but I just think we need to know the status of what's going on that way. It's a white bus that comes, Mexico plates on it that comes in.
All right, thank you, Mr. Powell. I did have one more thing.
Okay. Can I do
The
it?
legislature's back in session. So they started last week. We did have the governor's State of the State. He did give us his budget last Friday, and he did earmark $400 million for I-10 widening.
Wonderful.
Yay.
You
Should
fought
get a
that.
big
All
round
right,
of applause. Come on.
That's good.
So, and just to give you guys a heads up, I had a meeting today. We have one every Monday, although it was Tuesday this week with the league. And the things that the legislature is concentrating on are affordable housing, short-term rentals, vaccine bills. There's about 7 vaccination mandate bills, not to mandate, but to take mandate away. And there's a weird one on municipal dues. So they're coming after cities and towns again, and then election reform. So those are the hot buttons this year. So if I send you a note, please follow up on some of these bills, because you can go in and actually either go against or support, and it does make a difference, especially as an elected official. The legislators will listen.
Since you had another one, I'm going to let you just stay that way.
That's all right. Thank you, everybody, and
End it with that.
meeting adjourned.